What is up, crew? Welcome to Seek the Edge podcast with me, Kelsey Lensman, where our mission, our focus is to challenge you outside of your comfort zone so you can tap into and live the God-given potential inside. And our podcast producer, Sophia over here, has given me a challenge of recording this within 30 minutes. And what we're going to chat through today is a topic that I wish I had so much more information about when I started my fitness journey. And that topic is reverse dieting, because it was one of those words that I've heard. Oh, you should reverse diet. Oh, reverse dieting. But I didn't really understand what it was. And not only did I not understand what it was, when I started going into a reverse diet, so many fears, so many questions. Should I be eating this much? Well, if I want to lean out, why am I fueling this much in my body? All of those things came up in my head. And so what my focus is with this episode is you to leave these 30 minutes in understanding what reverse dieting it is, why it may be beneficial for you, and how you actually reverse diet and fuel your body smart so you can get the lasting results that you want. Because this was one thing that I was not doing, which was holding me back from the body composition that I was desiring, from the performance, the strength, the muscle gains that I was looking for. And I thought it was just something that I needed to eat less and lean out, when really I needed to fuel more. So let's talk reverse dieting. First thing is, why is there an issue with chronic dieting or underfueling your body? Because when I got started in my fitness journey, I was in college, and I thought as I looked in the mirror, I just needed to lose 20 pounds. And I wasn't necessarily overly overweight, but I didn't see the muscle definition that I wanted to see. I didn't see the physique in the mirror that I was putting in the work in the gym and working out and lifting, but I wasn't seeing the definition that I wanted to. And I just constantly was in this loop. So my first conclusion was, well, I guess I'm just eating too much. So I guess I need to eat less, and that's going to get me to the physique that I desire and the body composition that I want. And so what happened is I started to eat less. I went on certain meal plans or ate about 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 calories. And what was happening was the opposite. I was not getting to the results that I wanted. I was getting frustrated. I was getting hungry. And then I could stick to it for a couple of days and then fall back off. And so the way that I thought I should go about wasn't actually the way that I did go about. And then I hired a coach. And as I hired a coach, he gave me a specific intake for carbohydrate, fat, and protein that was way higher than what I was used to. I thought as I got his protocol back, I was like, oh, he's probably gonna have me eat less. He's probably gonna have me fuel not as much or cut my carbohydrates down. And then when I saw it, when my email came through and I saw it, it was so much more than I thought. And there was fear that came up with me of, does he even know my goals? Why is he giving me this much food to fuel my body with? I thought this was the opposite of what I should be doing, because I didn't understand this concept. And what this concept was when somebody continually undereats, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's putting their body more into this fight or flight kind of sympathetic overdrive. Is your brain to your body doesn't trust that you're actually fueling it enough. And so what happens is, let's say, and for those watching on YouTube, you can see my hands. Let's say your maintenance intake, meaning the intake for the height, weight, exercise output that you should be at, let's say hypothetically it's 2,200 calories, okay? But let's say you're just unintentionally or intentionally eating maybe 1,600. And so you think, man, if I want to continually lose weight or lean out, what should I do? Well, culture tells us, well, if you're eating 1,600, well, maybe eat 1,400, and calories in equals calories out. So let me just do that. But what they don't realize is, as they do that, internally, their body slowly starts slowing down their metabolic processes. Their body starts down-regulating, which is why they don't feel hungry right now. And so their body's just operating at a lower state, which is why now when they're eating 1,200, it's not that they're leaning out. It's not that they're losing weight. It's the fact that their body is just adapting for what intake it's been at, because it's constantly more in this fight or flight of, if she's not going to fuel me enough, well, then I guess I need to hold on to all this extra because I need it in case, once again, our brain operates in more of a back in the Stone Ages. In case I need to run away from a tiger, I need to tap into some of the fat stores in my body to utilize as energy. And so it's not just eat less equals gain progress equals get the results. And so when women are constantly under eating and they're constantly under fueling or eating not enough calories for what their body needs, metabolic adaptation occurs. Also, hormonally, we see this a lot. Cortisol can really spike up, stress hormone. Other hormones within your body, dependent on the person, can shift or downregulate and cause dysfunction. Energy levels tank. Performance definitely declines. Maybe you go into the gym and you're dragging or you just feel exhausted. And also your hunger signals and cues get all out of array. Because when somebody is under eating and they're not even realizing it, they think, well, I'm just not hungry. Kels, I'm eating 1600. I'm just not hungry. I can't eat any more than that. And what I tell them is your body is just so used to eating 1600 that it has just adapted to that intake, which is why, and that's not a good thing, but which is why when you constantly undereat more and more and more, your hunger cues actually usually don't come. They completely halt in of itself. And so when a woman is coming to us and they say, I'm really not hungry for breakfast, and maybe don't eat anything until 11 or 12, and then honestly, I'm not really even hungry till 7 p.m., that's not a sign of be proud of that. That's a sign of there's some dysfunction going in your body. And so we need to understand that a lack of hunger cues isn't necessarily a good thing, that a lack of hunger cues, especially if you're underfueling, can be an alarming thing. And I need you to hear that loud and clear, because many women do not understand this concept and they think that, well, my body's not hungry, or, well, I guess I'm doing the right thing because I'm not hungry. So many women end up here where they're eating 1,200 to 14, maybe 1,600 calories. They're exhausted. They're really not seeing any progress and they feel stuck. The problem is here when they're doing that, then they think, well, I guess I'm just not meant to have a specific body composition, or I guess I'm not meant to be able to feel or look or whatever their desired goal is. When really that's not the case. It's just that they're not training and fueling smart. And so what reverse diet actually is, it's slowly and strategically increasing your intake over a period of time to allow you metabolically to restore and increase your metabolic function while also minimizing additional fat gain. And so once again, watch my hands here. Let's say your body's maintenance, like I said, was 2,200, but let's say you're constantly eating at 1,400. Maybe you're aware or unaware of it. What you do in a reverse diet is not automatically jump them up to 2,200, because first of all, psychologically, their brain's going to be like, whoa, that's a lot of food. I don't know if I can do that. And then physiologically, your body has been used to 1,400, even if it's not beneficial for it. And for you to put that much food in your system can cause kind of an overload with it. And so what reverse dieting is you slowly and strategically increase your intake over a period of time to allow, like I said, that metabolic function to restore. And so this is how it can look. You're eating 1,400. We'll then bump you up to maybe 1,600 calories, maybe protein's up a little bit, carbohydrate, maybe fat. And we keep you there for a couple of weeks. What then you realize and what your body realizes, oh, she's actually fueling me again. And this is a good sign, is when a woman says, I'm actually getting hungry for breakfast, or I'm actually getting hungry after a couple hours. That tells me not to be worried about it or not alarmed, but that tells me that actually your body's functioning at a higher rate, which is a good cue for us as we're in a reverse diet. And so a couple weeks to stay at 1,600, and then we slowly and strategically bump up to maybe 1,800 or 1,900, and then slowly bump up to 2,000. And then if we're trying to get to a maintenance, then bump up to 22. But this is over, everybody, a period of months, not just weeks. And in reverse dieting, you need to be patient with this process, because I tell all our women, you didn't get here by just 2 months. You're not going to get out of here by just 2 months. If you've been here for years, it's not necessarily going to take you years to get out, but you need to be patient in the process with this. Patient in the process. And with this reverse dieting, it's not just, like I said, a free-for-all. We're being very strategic and intentional with how much we're increasing, and also strategic and intentional with the time frames at which we are increasing that intake. And what you will notice, like I said, is your hunger cues might actually be back. What you will notice is, wow, I'm actually able to maybe see some of my muscle again, because I'm not just a deflated version of it. What you'll be able to notice is my energy's increasing. Wow, I can sleep better at night. Wow, I'm actually able to keep up with my kids or feel strong in the gym versus just feeling exhausted and drained all the time. And I know this quote rings true for me, but I say to so many people is you really don't understand what feeling good feels like until you actually feel good. Like, you think you feel good at you eating 1,200, 1,400 calories, but you just don't have a greater perspective of really understanding how good you can feel, or how much better your body can function versus what it can actually function, or how it's functioning right now. And in this reverse diet, it is not an overnight fix, okay? In this reverse diet we're focusing on increasing your metabolic capacity, your higher metabolism. We're focusing on having a little bit more food flexibility, meaning you can actually show yourself that you can eat not just more foods, but different types of foods. And that will also help your gut health, help so much. You're increasing your training output or your performance. You're helping regulate and get from dysfunction to actually being in function and having a better hormonal balance with regards to it. You're improving your recovery. You're also potentially gaining a better relationship with food, because now it's not something that you see of how little can I have of it, but you're seeing it as actually how it fuels your body. And when we're thinking about body composition over time, and this is, go back to the science of improving body composition. This was the episode we recorded last year, and we'll put this in the show notes. But that episode goes over all of the different nutrition phases: reverse dieting, a maintenance, cutting phase, focus on building. It will go over all the different nutrition phases for you to continually build a body that not just only you're proud of and how it looks in the mirror, but that is healthy, that is going to be able to be durable and resilient and continually help you grow as a person. And a few different times that you'll use reverse dieting is you will always use a reverse diet after a fat loss phase, meaning or you can also say a cut. If you are focusing on decreasing your body fat and you're in a strategic cut or a fat loss phase, you need an exit plan. You cannot just say, oh, okay, at the end of my cut, I just need to eat this for the rest of my life. That is the worst thing that you can do for your body, especially if you're at a lower intake, because what happens once again, goes back to the beginning of this episode, is your body adapts to that lower intake. It actually then will lead to more dysfunction. Cortisol will increase. Your metabolism will start to downregulate. And if you stay there for a long period of time, that's where more of that dysfunction can occur. And so to keep the results that you've occurred in this fat loss phase is, once again, we want to slowly and strategically increase your intake so you can still see the body composition that you've built. However, over time, get you to a higher intake and at your maintenances, which is where you should live. I would say a cut is like a football in season. It's 2 to 3 months. Their off season is 8+ months. And so when we think about same thing as your body, your cut is short. It might be 2, 3, 4 months maximum, 5 months maximum. When you're off season, that's your maintenance. That's when we're trying to get you to eat continually at your maintenance. So your hormones are in the best position, your metabolism is in the best position, and that you can actually focus on growth whether it be building more muscle or gaining a better aerobic capacity, than just your body operating on fumes. You should not be there all the time. And so first of all, like I said, it's after a cut or a fat loss phase. If you have a coach and they are just ghosting you after you're in a cut, or they're giving you no strategic input after your cut on, hey, this is how we maintain progress, or this is how we come out of a cut strategically, I would highly recommend on educating yourself and highly recommend on asking them about a reverse diet, because this can, and I've seen this be detrimental for women. I've seen this not only physiologically not do well, meaning they get more exhausted. This leads to hormonal dysfunction. This leads to a lot of worse things happening. But then also psychologically, they just get in a not good state because they're exhausted, because their body's underfueled, and because they don't know they needed to reverse diet. When I was in bodybuilding back in the day, I'm so grateful that I had the coach that I did, because bodybuilding's extreme. It is an extreme sport, and I did it the best way that I could have done it, but it was still extreme. And after you get in a cut, you see your body specifically lean. You see all the muscles popping in the mirror. You see the six pack, and I'll be the first to say that can be addicting. It can be addicting to see how your body can change over time. But one thing that I was incredibly grateful for is my coach did have me reverse diet after. He had me first reverse diet as I met with him because I was underfueling, and then he also had me reverse diet after my pretty extensive cut for bodybuilding. But I also had friends and I had people in the bodybuilding world, and you don't need to be in that world to still need a reverse diet, but their coach had no plan after. And how their body rebounded after, meaning overly gained weight, meaning psychologically they started spiraling, it was all because they didn't have a strategic exit plan. And so you need a strategic exit plan after that. And secondly, the time that you might reverse diet, and we work with this with a lot of women in our coaching program, is when they are coming in and they're unaware that they're underfueling. They might maybe think they are, or if you're like me, you think that you're eating enough but not realizing it. When they're continually underfueling or incredibly inconsistent, you need to reverse diet somebody initially. And I'm honest with every single coaching client that comes in, where their goal is to get more definition, to be quote unquote toned, to see results. If they're significantly underfueling unintentionally or intentionally, I'm honest with them of, if I continue and just drop your intake, you are going to be at a worse spot than when you were when you first came in. And so I could do the thing that you want me to do. I'm not going to. I could do it, but it's actually going to hurt you rather than help you. And this is one of the hardest points for women to accept, as it was for me, because it feels so backwards. Wait, my goal is this. You're telling me to eat more. How does this correlate? But until you go through that process, and it is uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, is it uncomfortable? But until you go through that process and understand it, and understand that your body does want to work with you, and it does want to get to the progress, it is so incredibly freeing mentally. And internally, you realize, wow, that was the one thing that was holding me back. That was the one thing that was holding me back. But what I will say is there is a fear element in it, especially for those women that were more part of the fat-free era or the calories in equals calories out era, is we are so psychologically ingrained of less is better. If I can suffer and eat ice chips and lettuce, man, I'm doing a really good job today. When really that is the detrimental thing and not the beneficial thing for them. And so there is a fear component of, Kelsey, if I eat more of this, am I wrong for it? Am I going to gain all the weight back for it? Or maybe am I going to gain more weight from it? And what I tell those women is not necessarily trust me, because you might not know me very well, but I want you to lean into it, because if what you've done has got you here, you repeating the same thing of what you've done is not going to get you out to where you want to get to. And so there has to be a different process to go through. And so what I tell our women is lean into me. Bring to me what fears you have. Bring to me what that thought loop or that self-talk is going through your brain, because whatever stays in there will grow. And it almost deterred me from continuing with my coach. it almost deterred me from continuing with the process because I was so doubting the process. When I think back to that, if I would have stopped progressing that, I would be in the same spot that I was 8+ years ago just because I didn't lean into the uncomfortable process. And so you're not wrong if there's some fear. You're not wrong if also if you're after a cut, you see your body really lean, and you should not be that lean 24/7, but then it slowly starts to go back to more of a maintenance of where your body should be at. It is tough. It is incredibly tough. But once again, you need to work with your body instead of just expecting it to work for you. It is a two-way street. You need to feel it for it to want to do better things and also look the way and feel the way that it wants you to. And it can't be a one-way street. You can't expect so much out of it, but then you starve it and underfuel it and overtax it and do things that are not as beneficial for it. And so as we think about reverse dieting, lean into that's the best advice that I could give is lean into the discomfort, and that is okay. Be okay with you doing different, and that is okay. Be okay with it being uncomfortable, eating a little bit more food, and that is okay. And it's dependent on each person and how I work with them through this process because different people have different fears and different things that have come up from their past. But what I tell them is every time you fuel your body, I want you to either audibly say it out loud and listen to it or think this in a thought is this food is fueling me. This food is fueling me. I give myself permission to eat this food, especially if it's pretty ingrained in your system, that less is better. And so when we can start to repair that relationship of, okay, it's not about how little I can eat, but how well my body needs fuel and how well I can fuel my body, the liberation that comes from that and the freedom that you get of this kind of ball and chain of food, it is the best feeling ever. And now I can say on the other side of this is I have literally zero fears around food. I have zero fears of, should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? But it took me leading into the process and learning the process that eventually I wanted to coach it because it was so impactful to me. So lean into this discomfort here. And so for those individuals listening to this podcast, and you might be thinking, well, Kels, okay, all this makes sense. Yep, I understand this. Yep, okay. Well, should I reverse diet? Here's some edit and audit things of how to think about it. Is number one is just track your food for 3 days. Don't eat anything different. If you eat a sleeve of Oreos, eat a sleeve of Oreos. Okay, if you eat Big Macs, eat a Big Mac. Like whatever your normal is, just track what your normal is for 3 days. Do not try to fuel your body better. Do not try to quote unquote be good. Allow yourself to just be fueled or fuel your body exactly how it is. And from there, you will see where's my protein, where's my carb, where's my fat. If you want to see where your intake should be at, go on tdee.org and you'll put in your gender, so female, weight, height, activity level, and do not undershoot yourself. And you will see generally where your maintenance should be. And it will usually mind blow somebody for where their maintenance is. And you just compare it. Okay, what's my maintenance versus where am I fueling at right now? And that will give you a rough estimate to understand, wow, I've been really underfueling here, or wow, I'm actually doing better than I thought. And so that's a first really easy way to say. Secondly, though, if you are exhausted, if you are dragging in workouts, if you are just feeling like your tank is empty, it also might come from underfueling. And so this might be a cue. Don't just rely on the data, but rely on subjectively also how your body's feeling. And that might give you a cue that you need to fuel it better and fuel it more in a reverse diet. And then thirdly, this is probably the easiest also, is if you've been in a cut or you're in a cut, this is your exit plan out of it. So you want to build your intake back up to that maintenance to allow yourself to, that's where you live, that's where you stay, that's where our normal's at. And a few common mistakes as we pull this together is a few common mistakes that people make in reverse dieting is first, they increase calories way too fast. Is they might either start at 14 and they bump up all the way to 2100. Oh, I reverse dieted. No, you just bumped up way too fast. So So you don't necessarily need to completely baby step everything, but we need to have enough of a jump where it's actually significantly making a difference. But also, it's like the Goldilocks theory. We want enough, but not so much where it's a drastic change. So that's number one. Number two is panicking over scale fluctuations. In a reverse diet, your goal is to not lose pounds on a scale. I know this is hard to hear. In a reverse diet, your goal is not to lose pounds on a scale. Can your body composition change? 1000%. I have women, this is why progress pictures is so important, is I have women that can take progress pictures and their pictures are completely different, but the weight on the scale says the exact same. That's reverse dieting. That's improving and adjusting your body composition. And so don't expect, okay, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in this. The goal is not to lose 10 pounds. The goal is to, can I increase my intake while keeping my body weight maybe the same or increased a little bit? That is a massive win. I have a girl right now that she went from eating 1,400 consistently to now eating around 1,800, and her body weight is the exact same. And so if her sole value of, wow, this is my progress as the body weight on the scale, she might not think she's making progress. But my objective seeing of what she's putting in, you're eating 400 more calories and scale has not changed at all. And also your body composition has improved. So this is where we just need more measures of what progress is in this phase. Also continue to resistance train, to strength train. And also focus on not quitting too early. When you first see a little bit of a scale jump, or when you first feel like, oh, it's not working, stay with this process and progress. Lean into it, stay with it, because that's where your end goal or your long-term goals, that's where it's going to come from. And so as we have a big picture perspective of this, is reverse dieting, in my opinion, something that almost every woman probably needed to do during a part of their journey. Is you cannot just go in one cut and expect your end all be all results to be there. We need different phases to maybe build the muscle, to then see the muscle, and then have that be a body composition that we just live with. And it takes time. It takes months, years to get to a body composition that is just your normal. Just like building a house, same thing. It takes more than just you putting one board on to have this beautiful house that's built. But same thing with your body. It takes more than just one phase that allows you to build your body as the house is built. And so lean into that, because that will help tremendously, okay? If you all have absolutely any questions with reverse dieting, with should I reverse diet? I don't know where I need to go. This is where you lean in. Ask the question that I needed to ask when I started. So message us at Kelsey Lensman is my personal, or at Expand Your Limits. Lean into us. We have so many trainings about this, about how to reverse diet, what that looks like. And if you're also in need of a coach, obviously we do have a coaching division to what we do, and we're more than happy either to help you or guide you to the best place that is going to help you. Because this is one thing that I gained so much value from it that I changed my entire life trajectory to help women the same way that I was helped. And so it can be that influential in your life and the missing piece of what you've been looking for. So have an amazing rest of your week. For those that need to reverse diet, go reverse diet, and we will talk to you soon.